Hey guys, it's Dustin with RC Jet Addiction. Today we're going to discover a few more programming techniques and secrets on the DX18 from Spectrum. As you can see, I've got the transmitter here. You know what it is. So anyways, let's go over some of the basic stuff. I've gotten a few requests for how to do crow, how to do gyro, how to do a bunch of stuff. But before we get going on that, it's very important to learn the basics of the radio. So as you can see, I got the transmitter booted up. It's on Speedy Electra. This is my little race car of a electric jet. But let's go over how to change models first. So the transmitter's turned on. If you simply press down, clear and back, it takes you into the model select menu. A lot of people probably don't realize this. So let's choose a blank program. Let's choose 15 here. So I scrolled and then I pressed down the selector button and it's asking me to confirm, and we want to select this model as what we're going to work on. So I did that. It took us back to the system setup page. So let's start here, and basically I'm going to start from scratch now. Now that we've got a blank model, transmitter's off. As you can see, sticks are there, whatever. Turn it on. Goes through its boot up. You can see the basic airframe, the basic model shows the generic name of acro. It has flight mode 1, constant, timer comes default at 5 minutes, and it is throttle activated. As you can see, I just moved the throttle up. This little icon here shows us what percentage of throttle, shows us what battery level we have, 7.7 volts. As you know, this is an 8.4 volt fully charged 2-cell LiPo. On the perimeter we have our trims. So we got our throttle trim, you can see it moving up there. That's default. And then we got our rudder, aileron, and elevator. So let's dive into this a little bit more. If I simply just press down the roller, we get our function list. This is where you do all your servo setup, dual rate and expo, throttle cut, throttle curve, any mixing you may want to do. If you want to use a sequencer for your gear and gear doors, or canopy and canopy lock, your range test feature, the timer, telemetry, which we will cover in depth later, and then the old trusty servo monitor. So I'm going to hit back here to get back to the main screen. Now, setting up a brand new airplane, it's very important to realize before you begin what you intend to do. So let's say, for example, we're going to do a BVM King Cat or a Bobcat. This would also work on, I guess, a Boomerang. Any airplane you'd want to use crow. So basically when your flaps go down, your ailerons would go up. So let's set that up first. So we're going to hold down the rolling button and power on. So if we just go through this thing step by step, it starts us on system setup. I'm going to select model select. Yes, we want model 15. That's the one we chose a few minutes ago. So we'll select it again. Default, it's an airplane, but let's select it anyways. Airplane. And it asks you if you want to reset the data. Say yes, so that way any mixes, anything goofy is completely erased. So next we choose model name. We will call this, let's just change it to King Cat. So bear with me while I fumble through the alphabet. There we go. So as you can see, you can do capitals and smalls and all sorts of punctuation and numbers. And I'm having to kind of look sideways around the camera, so it's a little difficult to see what I'm doing, but you get the idea. See all the characters that are available. Almost there. There we go. Alright, so I'm simply going to press back. Alright, so now we're going to choose what kind of aircraft this is. Back at the aircraft type, so I'm going to backpedal a little bit. Dual aileron is 2 servos per wing, so 1 each side. So your aileron control would move 2 servos. Next is flaperon, so again, aileron control, but then you'd have a flaperon control. So you can make the flaps go down, you can make them go up, you could have different position settings. Next is 1 aileron, 1 flap, so 1 aileron servo, 1 flap servo. Maybe more useful on a 40 size sport plane. I don't know for sure. Next would be 1 aileron, 2 flap servos. So if you had a jet that had a gyro on the aileron, you would use this. Gyro on aileron and 2 individual flap servos. So the gyro would control, the gyro would plug into 1 aileron port on the receiver, and then you would have a Y harness from the gyro to your aileron servos. Pretty standard system, maybe like on a Skymaster Hawk or Viper jet, something like that. Next would be 2 aileron servos, 1 flap. Maybe that's your baby boomerang. I don't really have too much knowledge on what would use that, but in case you need it, it's there. The next is probably what most jets would use, 2 ailerons, 2 flaps. Next would be elevons. So this would be some kind of combination delta where you get elevator and aileron on your 2 flying surfaces at the aft of the wing. Elevon B, I don't know much about. Read the manual. If I don't know about it, probably don't need it in jets. Haha. Next would be 4 ailerons. So there you would have your flaps working as ailerons and flaps. That'd be pretty interesting. I'm sure it has applications somewhere, probably sailplane, giant scale, something or other, but not too common in the jet world. So let's go back to what we would use on the King Cat, which would be 2 ailerons, 2 flaps. So the tail selection, we got normal. We can also have a V-tail, V-tail B, dual elevator. So a King Cat would use dual elevator, or a Bandit could. Anywhere you're using 2 servos on 2 elevator halves. Next would be dual rudders with a single elevator. See, single elevator, dual rudder. If you had some kind of, I'm guessing some kind of boomerang would have a single elevator servo and 2 rudders. Dual elevator, dual rudder. That would be for a King Cat style. So let's select that one for this King Cat program. If you were using Y harnesses or a matchbox on your rudder or elevators on the King Cat, you would just choose either dual elevator or standard. If you were using 2 Y harnesses, you'd use the standard, the normal. Again, you could use dual elevator and then Y harness the rudders, or you could run dual rudder / elevator and eliminate the Y harnesses. Let's do that. So we did that. We'll hit next into this menu. Here's where you enable your gyros. Not really necessary in what we're doing, so let's leave that to another video. I promise I'll get back to it. So you can go back to list by highlighting that, or you can go back to the previous menu by highlighting that. We need to go to the list. We could also hit just the back button. Pretty easy.